Said I'd find a way to turn my heart into something gold. Knew I sold my soul to the devil long ago. I rode it all along on your wave right before it broke. Time was thrown down the well, so I let you go. What I do right now. What I do right now for you, for you. If you I've been working part-time jobs, chasing all my dreams now lately. No matter if I try too hard, nothing's ever enough, baby. No, I don't care too much. I don't care too much. As long as I can keep you by my side, I don't care too much. We got time, no rush. In your eyes, I always see there is something meant for me. In your eyes, I always feel different. Tell me everything's alright. Life is just a bunch of faces, and if it's not, we'll still be fine. I know we're going places. I don't care too much. I don't care too much. As long as I can keep you by my side, I don't care too much. We got time, no rush. In your eyes, I always see there is something meant for me. In your eyes, I always feel different. In your eyes, I always see there is something meant for me. In your eyes, I always feel different. I was dancing on my own when you spilled that ramen coke on my t-shirt. Yeah, your eyes made it difficult to get my baby. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. Ooh, you give me that high-pitched feel, baby. We shared a cigarette by East Versailles. The way you looked at me, couldn't say goodbye. And whatever you did to make it stop, 'cause baby, you make me feel something. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. Ooh, you give me that high-pitched feel, baby. We shared a cigarette by East Versailles. The way you looked at me, couldn't say goodbye. And whatever you did to make it stop, 'cause baby,
body to the sound of the tuba. Body to the sound of the tuba.
my heart into something gold. Knew I sold my soul to the devil long ago. I rode it all along on your way right before it broke. Time was thrown down the well, so I let you go. What I do right now. What I do right now for you. Carolina skies in the night, floating by your side. I fell up when you fell down, but we stayed in flight. I'm laughing to myself, cause I know that I can't deny. I can't find what you.
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Wir arbeiten schon viel. Und das darf auch sein. Es gehört halt auch dazu. Aber die Technik schafft heute auch viel. Immer mehr sogar. Die Luftfeuchtigkeit passt. Die Stauatmosphäre stimmt. Und wenn die Technik immer mehr schafft, könnten wir ja zwischendurch ein Kehr weniger krampfen. Oder etwa nicht?
You ready? Huh? Hey, he's a good boy, huh? You ready? Huh?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to all our beloved League of Legends fans out there. We are back with yet another evening full of esports action here as part of the Swisscom Hero League powered by ESL. And with me tonight, who else could it be? It's Chef himself. Good evening, how are you doing?
Hello, yeah, I'm doing fine as always when I can cast League of Legends. It's super exciting, the last quarterfinal of this season, and I'm excited to see the last two teams competing for the
Yeah,
first
so
time.
we're already past the halfway point here if we don't count the finals that will be coming up on the 2nd of May. So not too far out there, but 2 weeks from now we're already there. But tonight we have to find out first who is gonna be our fourth and last semi-finalist here. Let's actually have a look what we got cooking here tonight for you guys. And it is going to be Recast Gaming here against Arctic Gaming. Both of these teams made it through the qualifiers here, and yeah, Arctic Gaming, I'd say an organization that is very well known. They are doing great work, great community as well in terms of their esports participation in Switzerland and also like talent development. They have a couple of academy teams as far as I know. Recast Gaming is a rather new organization when it comes to the Swiss esports scene.
Yeah, Recast Gaming as a team is quite new, but many members are quite well known in the Swiss esports scene. We will later be able to look at the lineup and we will see that there are many names that many in the Swiss esports scene already know.
Yeah, and here we got one for once again our lovely bracket here. As we can see, we've already seen quite dominant performances coming out from Mind Sanity Madhouse, who took the win with a 2-0 over Flame. Then Silent Gaming on last Friday had a neck-to-neck fight against Fragbox, where they came ahead with a 2-1, and then yesterday we saw Lausanne taking down the Scythe of Seraph here quite convincingly. So it's only going to be this match remaining here for our last quarterfinal tonight, and I'm personally super curious what we're going to see, whether it's going to be a very one-sided performance here and we got another clear 2-0 winner, or if they can give each other a run for their money and take it all the way to game number 3, or at least provide us with a lot of tension during those games.
Yeah, I think we can look at the matchup now and then go down the lineups of these two teams. They both had at least somewhat known names in the round of 16. Recast Gaming had to fight off Elvets, and Arctic Gaming fought against Void and beat them both 2-0, so they qualified for the quarterfinals. But now we can take a look at the lineup of Recast Gaming first.
And I'm pretty sure you will recognize a lot of these names coming in here. We actually had a couple of them playing for, I'm not sure, I think it was Flame last season. We have Caputimo in the top lane. We have Saruda making his way through the jungle. Merok in the mid lane. And then Ximon together with Chaos down in the bottom lane. So all of these names, yeah, if you're active in the Swiss esports community, you will have stumbled across them once or twice, I'm supposing. And yeah, therefore, I mean, they kind of know each other and have played together previously, whether it's for fun or just some small tourneys. So innate synergy might not be there like for years, but they certainly know how to get along. I'm guessing.
Yeah, and I mean all of them have competitive experience, so that's always an advantage.
Absolutely. So let's have a look at their opposition here in Arctic Gaming. Why don't you take us through their lineup?
Yeah, for Arctic Gaming we have in the top lane Blank, then in the jungle Aractosa, in the mid lane Giga, and in the bot lane Crazy Koala together with Chefe.
Yeah, so also there quite a stacked roster in terms of like how well known they are. I actually just recently got the honor to fill in for them in a scrim for their top laner, and it actually was a lot of fun. And I could also see that like they have really good communication. They have the trust in each other, and just know how to play the game, and especially the macro game together. So I see a lot of
Yeah.
potential in them.
Yeah, and at least Blanca, Aractosa, Giga, and Chefe are playing already together for a long time, and when you were playing with them, you surely heard Aractosa with his hyped calls out of the jungle. He always seems to me pretty hyped, and I'm interested to see how that's gonna work out today.
I completely agree there. I also like. If I'm not mistaken, Ximon used to be their former AD carry, and they've swapped him out here for Crazy Koala actually. So I'm very curious how much of a fresh wind that's gonna bring to them. I mean, we've seen so much out of these players like in the past, like Aractosa on his Rek'Sai can just always pop off if you leave that champ open for him. But then also Giga, I mean, his main is Aurelion Sol. We don't see that too much in his competitive matches. He's not in the strongest spot at the moment, I think, personally. But I mean, he's had fantastic performances on things like the Azir. His Zoe can be super menacing if you have to go up against it. So he has a lot of potential to just carry his team through the those mid and late game team fights.
Yeah, and I always like somebody that plays Aurelion Sol, so yeah, Giga surely has my sympathies, but I'm trying to be not too biased, but I would always love to see an Aurelion Sol.
It would certainly be something we have not seen much yet here in the Swisscom Hero League Season 3. Yeah, if we look at the past matches, we've seen a lot of diversity when it comes to drafting, but then again we've always seen like the same old strong champions, of course, coming back. I mean, Kassadin so far has been quite popular. We've seen a lot of Syndras in the mid lane. We've seen Orianna quite a bit as well. So those control mages really seem to be coming back into favor a lot.
Yeah, and I'm also interested. During the season we saw a lot of Jarvan and Olaf. I'm interested if we see that today too. I mean, Aractosa is also somebody that played J4 quite some games already, and but I mean his Rek'Sai is so famous. Maybe he rather likes to go for that
Yeah,
Rek'Sai.
I can always see that. I mean, I honestly I expect Recast to just ban it out here, just out of respect. We already saw the first two bans here coming out. It's gonna be the Caitlyn here for the side of Arctic, as well as the Wukong here coming out from Recast, and there is the Olaf ban. So they don't want too much of a contention there when it comes to the early game pressure, just out of that jungle position.
Yeah, I'm also interested then to see what Recast Gaming is drafting in their bot lane, because Chaos's brother, he always tries to invent some new things that you can play and invent some new team comps, and he was one of the first guys that told me about Maokai support, and now it's actually really a thing.
And
so
it's like,
I'm really interested if Chaos maybe picks up something a little
yeah, and I mean,
different.
Chaos, he is actually a really strong Maokai support player. There is the Senna now coming down as an additional ban here, so they want none of that fasting Senna business down there. And I'm really curious if Recast is gonna be banning out the Rek'Sai now, or whether they just gonna leave it open and maybe they have something prepared to respond to it.
Yeah, I mean,
Never mind.
Rek'Sai, Yeah, okay, we don't see a Rek'Sai here, but now J4 and Lee Sin are open, both very strong junglers, maybe even also a Lee's, if you want to play something
Oh,
for the early game. Oh,
okay.
we see the Kalista.
Interesting pick they're coming in. I mean, Kalista is probably for season 10 the AD carry that's seen like the biggest comeback. She's been
Yeah.
in the gutter for such a long time ever since she got nerfed like continuously over like the course of an
Yeah,
entire
she got
season.
nerfed into
Yes,
oblivion.
absolutely. And now they've slowly given her some love back, and now she's actually coming back into the meta as a top lane as well as a bot lane pick, but with the most recent nerfs in 10.8. She's more skewed towards a bot laner, I'd say.
I mean the nerfs it reduced the slow of the
Rend, yeah.
E a little bit, of the rend. So it affects both the bot lane and the top lane, but I think it's not such a strong nerf that she can't be played top lane. I mean, it's always a ranged versus melee match. If she can get a ranged versus melee matchup, she's so super strong because she can kite
Absolutely.
so well.
And on the side of Recast Gaming, they pick away the Taric. That is a duo we've seen coming up so much recently in competitive play. The Kalista together with the Taric, you can go super aggressively and then just get pulled back if you're overextended or threatened to die. And yeah, with the Taric ultimate, you have so much tankiness for potential teamfights. And there we also have the Tristana coming in, also an AD carry we haven't seen yet on this patch here in the Swisscom Hero League, but she also was off. And now they have locked in the Braum on the side of Arctic Gaming and are hovering the Mordekaiser here.
Yeah, I mean Mordekaiser still is very very strong, and with his ultimate he can just take out somebody that is a threat to your team, but it seems like we have a little bug right now. Okay, it worked out.
Okay. Just
Okay.
some small connection.
And the last pick of the first rotation for Recast Gaming will be Aatrox. I'm interested in how to Arctic is gonna match up these their picks. If Kalista now is going to the bot lane, I think so. But Mordekaiser is also flexible between mid lane and top lane.
But so is Aatrox, and I mean we've seen Giga in the past playing, for example, the Kled. They could possibly also look to flex that between their mid and top laner. Looks like we have some more small connection issues coming in there. But so far, they really have a lot of options still open here when it comes to the drafting phase.
Yeah. Yeah, both teams now surely need a jungler and another solo laner, probably. And we just hear now that we have lost the connection to a player. We will leave the draft open so we can discuss it a little bit, but we have to redo it later on.
And but with the first round here completed, we already see a bit of a game plan here coming in. And I mean, so far by the looks of it, I mean, Arctic Gaming, they have fantastic potential here. Just a lockdown they can get on something with the Braum passive, with the Rend coming out from the Kalista, and then always the Mordekaiser. You can be such a menace if he is not properly contained during the laning phase.
Yeah, but for now the team fighting of Arctic with these 3 picks is not really that scary. I mean, they have not really much of an AoE threat until now, and I'm interested how they are gonna round out this composition, because if they wanna have a chance in a team fight, they need also some way to stall out that Taric when he comes in with the with his ultimate and just makes everybody on his team invulnerable. The best, or the most times, the strategy against this ability is that you just try to stall out until the ability wears off, and then you can re-engage. But with these picks of Arctic Gaming, that's gonna be hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll certainly, I mean, just with the Tarek ultimate, if you have that, and with a potential Aatrox flank, you can also get some super explosive engages in there, which will just wreak havoc there on the backline of Aragdosa if they can make their way in there. So I'm very curious how they're gonna round out their composition here, but it looks like we still have to wait a little bit. Now the draft here is gone, and they will have to reconnect. We'll quickly redo the first round here, and then we're hopefully soon ready to jump into the game here.
Yeah. What I just realized is that Ornn is still on the table. He wasn't picked or banned in the first rotation. So I'm interested if he gets touched on, because I mean that engage or even also disengage would be pretty strong for both teams. But Arctic Gaming has already the Braum locked in, and with his unstoppable, he can always block the Call of the Forge God. So that's an innate counter. But then you can also be creative as the Ornn and just call the Forge God from your side of the map and then throw it at the enemies with the
Do the
knockup.
full 180 with the ram there, and just to take them down. I've actually, when was it, like a couple of weeks back, I've seen a video where they compared actual champion sizes, which was rather hilarious considering that like Callista is like 190, like 1 meter 90, and Ornn is like, I don't know, like something like 25 meters taller. So, so he's a big boy. So just imagine how, and they even had like a scale for his ram, which was just like, it's basically the size of a skyscraper, which I found hilarious.
Yeah, that's not something you wanna get caught under it. Or I mean, how does that then knock you up?
Well, you will be really far up in the air, and it's nice that only makes you brittle. Your bones will be brittle after that, probably.
Oh god, wordplays. Yeah, you threw me off completely now.
I'm super sorry.
No, but what strong picks are left there? I mean, in the jungle there is still very much open, as I mentioned already. The Jarvan and the Lee Sin and the Lees all still are open, and with the Mordekaiser and the Aatrox already locked in, you have two strong bruisers, so there is a big potential for damage out of the jungle.
And you still have the potential to go for something like for the Renekton, something you can also flex between the mid and top lane, which would of course combo so fantastically together with something like the Elise. But then again, we also have Karthus, who's still open as a jungle option here for both of the teams. Something I actually just before we started, I saw a tweet for the 10.9 nerfs they're looking at, and one of them is actually the Karthus, because in pro play he's still like doing really good, because he's such a like an insurance policy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just being updated. Our technical delay will take a little bit longer on the side of Riot. We had a little bit of an update on the tournament realm, so maybe that still influences our performance here a little bit. So it could still drag out for a minute or two here.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, Karthus surely got way stronger in the jungle because of the jungle changes, that you can now get more experience after level 9 in the jungle is a big buff for Karthus, because he wants to power farm even further and just get his Requiem to the 3rd level as soon as possible, because that's just... If a Karthus gets fed and has some levels under his belt, he just just annihilates your team with
Yeah.
just one
It's
requiem.
just like you always have to take that into account, and you have to be really, really careful which kind of fights you take, because in the end it could just mean that your health bars are just like 400, 500 HP lower than your opponent's ones once that Carthus has reached like 3 or even 4 items, and he's really, really, really gonna hurt. In terms of strong picks, we also still have open. The mid lane is basically still like really open at the moment. We still have the Victor that's open. We still have the Orianna. We still have maybe for Giga we could look at a Zoe. But we also have like the Azir that's open. We have the Corki for some good old Corki Azir
Yeah, but
gameplay.
that's the point about mid lane. There are so many viable picks that you can't really try to do smaller the pool there for the mid laners. That's not really a possibility, because there is so many possibilities for that mid lane. I mean, you didn't even mention the assassins that are also playable in the mid lane, and also many control mages are still up. So yeah, I mean, Recast Gaming has the red side, so they have the counter pick, which they will probably leave open for that mid lane. But yeah, it's mid lane at the moment I think is in a real good spot where so many things are viable and nothing is really OP in my opinion.
And let's be honest. At the end of the day, that's just like a really nice meta equilibrium to be in when there are so many different things you can go for. And I mean, we've also seen it this past weekend for the LEC, and also some unknown wild regions finals that took place. Where we saw a broad variety. I mean, yeah, we saw like a Lulu Kog'Maw coming back in. We saw high priority on something like a Yumi coming out, and so there are still like so many things you can go for. One of the things I really like is like how much of Bard we've seen coming out in the past season. Also, like set support is a very interesting one. We'll not see it this game since he's banned, but it's like it's so funny that you run him with Omnistone and basically, or like partly for the reason that you get the Nimbus cloak and the Hex Flash with it, so you can look for these engages.
Yeah. I actually just recently played against the set support, but he went Hail of Blade, and he had a lot of punch behind his attacks. That was really scary for the AD carry, and yeah, I mean, there are so many immobile AD carries that he can just activate his Q and then pull him in with the Face Smasher, and that's really scary for an AD carry.
Absolutely. So they have to run for the hills after an engage like that. What else do we still have on the table that could be a point of contention here? I mentioned it earlier, like we've seen Giga in the past playing the Kled, something we have not seen too much of yet during these games here in the Swisscom Hero League Season 3.
But that's a good point, because the Kled has his grievous wound on his bear trap on a rope, and that's a pretty good ability for against Natrox. So that's that would also be a very good pick for Arctic Gaming into that Aatrox.
Yeah, absolutely. Or I could also see something like a Zillion coming out for the mid lane. That is just makes the game very different to play, because you can enable like especially something like a Kalista to just jump forward and aggressively zone your opponents away from like some choke points if you have that ultimate in your back pocket, and then he also offers some good potential in terms of crowd control to a certain extent.
Yeah, but I mean, Zillion has also the very cool ability to speed someone up really fast, and that's for an AD carry really good. But for Callista, it's not really that great
True.
because she wants to jump and not to walk. So I don't think that's the best synergy between Zidane and Callista. But maybe they prove me wrong.
Oh, in terms of junglers, we also still have the Echo open as well as the Trundle. So both of these can be very strong picks, of course, here coming in. Yeah, I just was asked by our production to give a little update about my dear green friend up here. As you can see, he's doing phenomenally well. Got a lot of sunshine in these past couple of days now. That we're certainly going towards summer, slowly but surely. That is. But yeah, I can actually give him some water while we jump into the next draft here, and I hope this one will stick.
You're doing housekeeping work while you are
Yes,
working.
yeah, that is the embodiment of home office, you know.
For sure.
Okay, same bands so far. There is nothing that's gonna be changing here. We of course keep our fingers crossed that everything will hold up steady, and that we can finally find out what these remaining 2 picks are going to be.
I mean, there are still 4 picks
Well,
left,
yeah,
but
2 for like each, 2 per team. I have to. You take me too much by my word there.
Sorry.
Sorry, not
but
sorry.
yeah, I I'm also interested how Chaos is playing that Tarek, because the right timing on that Cosmic Radiance is quite hard, because there is always it always could be too early or too late, and you want to find the right timing for it, but it can be really hard. But now we are gonna see new things in the draft.
Hopefully.
The first one of the second rotation for Rika's gaming.
Yeah, so let's see what they decide to opt in for here. Tarek just looks so fabulous there at the front of that draft list. And we see the Elise now coming in there as a ban for Recast Gaming. Arctic seems to be targeting Marok here a little bit. Decides to ban out his Syndra right there. I could also see something like a Silas coming out here for either the mid lane or even the top lane, or like something like a double flex of sorts.
Yeah, surely possible. Recast Gaming rather likes to ban out the junglers. Now there is J4 still open, who's pretty strong. Or there are, J4 and Echo, I think, are very strong on the can be very strong on the damage side, and then we have Trundle, Sejuani, Sek, more on the tanky side. Yeah, Carter still, but I don't feel like they want to have a farming jungle. I think they want to have some pressure out of the jungle. But we will see. I mean, now they will have to lock in a jungler. Or I think at least they will go for a jungler.
Well, you never know. Oh, it's gonna be the Kai'Sa here. And I'm guessing it's a Kai'Sa. Okay, never mind. No Kai'Sa mid lane.
Oh. No, I mean, it could have been the Tristana mid lane into a Mordekaiser. It's pretty strong.
It could have been the Kai'Sa too. I mean, she has seen some play in the more recent past. Ever since her buffs, ever since the buffs to her W, she can be more consistently be played as an AP champion.
Yeah, she has now with the W, with the Void Seeker, she has a very good poke. If she hits it, she gets even the cooldown reduced by half. So that's really good. But and she even would have something very good against the Mordekaiser in the as the Void Rush, I think is the name of her E. grants her invisibility if she can upgrade it, and you can cancel out the Mordekaiser ultimate with that invisibility.
True. Is of course a big part. But you know, uh, one of my like favorite interactions with the Death Realm from Mordekaiser is actually how strong he is at denying objectives. So when you're like going for a Baron, and you can essentially, if you have proper vision, your Mordekaiser can just like flash over the wall and ult the enemy jungler, and and then and then and then you basically have a free Baron to take because there's no way he can smite it away.
Yeah, we just got a new update. We have to change the servers, so that will take some minutes, but then we should be ready to try again to get the draft done and get into the first game. But about your point with the Mordekaiser, there is one thing that you should always remember when a Mordekaiser is in a game. If he tries to backdoor, he can just ultimate pull somebody into the Death Realm, and the buildings are still also in the Death Realm, and he can finish the Nexus even while he's in the Death Realm.
The more you know.
So he is really scary in a backdoor situation.
And he also still has quite a variety of builds we see coming out from him. I mean, a lot of people rush Leandries essentially, but we also see people opting for like the Proto Belt, something go like Proto Belt into Nashor's Tooth for like an early cooldown reduction, plus the on hit and to get to his passive faster and just like go for a DPS build essentially, rather than the utility between Leandries and Riley's Crystal Scepter. So he has quite a broad adaptation to, or a possibility to adapt to the game state and to the needs of his team.
Yeah, and he also has a quite good build path against AD laners. He can just go rush the Ninja Tabais and then go for Zeke's Arms Guard, and like this he can just build up so much armor that he has a pretty good lane into AD matchups.
Okay, we are told that we are moving to away from the tournament realm here and going to the EU West server. We of course hope that everything will work out perfectly fine there too, but we of course have to wait for the spectator delay after a bit there. Let's actually have a look at the current standing so far. We already mentioned it. Next Thursday, the winner of this match tonight will be facing off against Lausanne, and then on Friday it's gonna be the duel between Silent Gaming and My Insanity Madhouse. Where do you personally see the strength and maybe the potentials of these teams?
Of which teams exactly now?
For like My Insanity Madhouse, Silent Gaming, and Lausanne.
So My Insanity Madhouse surely has one, if not the best bot lane of the league. So with Golden God, we have such a strong AD carry. And yeah, we saw that already in the first quarterfinal. He is super strong, and I think that's gonna be the biggest challenge for their opponents to deal with that. For Silent Gaming, what was there? I think they had very long, drawn-out games, so it's they had good composure up till the end, and I think they're roaming with their support to the mid lane was pretty impactful, and yeah, I think the synergy between the support and the mid laner was very impactful, and I think that's gonna be a big point. Yeah, and for Lausanne, Yeah, for Lausanne it's difficult to say because Lausanne didn't really have to show their best, I think. So it's hard to see it's hard to rate them in some sense if that gets over the point I want to bring.
Yeah. So how would you then go about in like preparing for a game like that? Say, yeah, we've already mentioned it, like Mainz and Itimeras, they seem to be looking very strong and very confident coming into this. They've also looked quite clean before, like during their round of 16. They ended like both games around 25 minutes or even below that. So they just seem to be quite dominating with their experience. How can like a team that maybe is not as experienced match up to something like that?
I think the most common way to go about that is just to try something special, something a little bit away from the super standard meta, because the more experienced and individually better team most times can outperform a less experienced team in a standard game. So if you are the underdog, it's most times better if you maybe try out to surprise your enemies, even cheese a little bit. We saw that already many times in the pro games, like Gigabyte Marines had often some interesting things for when they were doing the lane swaps. I think it was where they surprised better teams and were able to take off games, or Albus Nox were a little bit in the same category. So I think that's the approach you have to take if you are the clear underdog.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and also like look for potentially like alleyways where you have like a more of an insurance as well. I mean, we've seen it last season when Silent Gaming managed to deny My Insanity their entry into the grand finals and actually took them down. They went for like super late game scaling on a lot of their champions, so they were never really under pressure to do something. But they would always like their main priority would be like fend them off, like stay on the defense, play it safe, go for vision, and then just let the game scale out. Look that they don't fall too far behind, and with that they managed to take them down, because in the end they just had the stronger individual champions that also can be an alleyway into success. But then again, like when it came to the finals, they tried doing the same thing with like going for like super scaling against Postfinals Helix, which completely backfired because Postfinals Helix adapted perfectly to it, and they were just punishing them so super hard in the early game. Took so many tower platings and then just steamrolled over them. So yeah, it's really a fine line to find like the potential to still do things or still accomplish things in the early game, to not fall behind and to get to that late game point. But then again, have the insurance that you like have champions that are stronger, so you can afford to quote unquote play a little worse, but because your champs are stronger at that point in the game, you still can win fights. That makes sense.
Yeah, sure. That's one. Yeah, I mean, it's a strong strategy if it works out, but if the opponents are experienced in playing early game, it's quite an easy task for them to then shut you down in an early game and have some short and easy wins. But now we are ready for the draft once more. We will redo the draft up until the second pick phase, and then we will see how these compositions are gonna get rounded out.
I still want to see the guys in the middle, as to be honest. Something extraordinary.
It could be, but I don't really believe that that's gonna be the pick.
Neither. Like, to be quite honest, we also see the names have changed a little bit here for the players, since they are on their main account right here, and now We see the picks here coming through rather quickly, unfortunately. So yeah, and now there should just be the remaining bands. I think it was the Elise and the Lee Sin, and then the Oriana as well as the Syndra on the side of Arctic Gaming that have been taken off the table.
Yeah.
Okay,
now now we are up to date. So let's see what Recast Gaming is gonna do. Yeah, the J4. I mean, I mentioned 3 junglers. They ban out 2 and pick the other one. Yeah, I've got the script right. So let's see how Arctic Gaming is answering.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be the Mundo here coming in.
Wait.
So it.
Okay.
The Mundo jungle, actually? Okay, Chef is just flexing his Soraka there, but that's not gonna be the pick. But it is actually going to be the Camille there. It's a Mundo jungle, something that is really not talked about a lot. He was like popular in season 4, I think. I think Taipei Assassins, they had him in their winning comp at that time. Wow, that's a long time. No, that's season 3 even.
Yeah, right. They have even a skin. TPA.
It's season 3 even, I think. But then he's seen a bit of a surge coming in, at the end of season 9, I think. But he's never really been popular in pro play.
Oh. And Merok picks his Ahri. He's a famous Ahri player. So that's gonna be very interesting. I guess he's gonna have a lot of trouble if he gets pulled into the death realm.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's just gonna be a fox that tries to hide but can't find anywhere to go after that. And overall, I mean, the scaling part on the side of Arctic Gaming is just pretty bonkers here.
Yeah, the Arctic Gaming the Mundo, if he gets enough armor, he won't go down, I think. I don't think Ahri can bring him
Mundo,
down.
Against this comp, I think, Mundo after 2 items, you cannot kill him anymore. Because Ahri has burst, and you need DPS to take down the Mundo. Otherwise, he's just gonna go where he pleases, where he damn pleases. And there's nothing that Recast will be able to do there. So it is really in Saruda's hand to make an impact here early and try to track him properly, and maybe even try to shut him down, because he does go quite low during his first clear.
Yeah, and I mean, Camille is also a very good pick to try and shut down maybe that Tristana, which is the only real late game insurance for Recast Gaming. And if you can just put her in the Hextech ultimatum, it's really hard to protect this Tristana.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's and also like if we imagine this scenario of like a mid to late game team fight where Tristana has to be so afraid of potential Camille flanks landing those hook shots followed up by the Hextech ultimatum. He can't really dish out proper damage here and always have to be on the defensive while all these bruisers are like running into the opposite team and just protecting their Kalista there. I mean, to get through the likes of Braum, Mordecai, and the Mundo, they're like running in your face. You really have to come up with something. And yeah, I mean, if Aatrox gets too close to her, he just gets put in the death realm, and she's like good to go. And then they have the EQ coming out from Jarvan, but like what else to follow up, because the Ahri cannot fire her charm through 3 tanks. Well, 2 if Mordecai's in the death realm.
It is possible, but I mean, we already saw Hesitas throw a bone skewer through 3 people onto the AD carry, so there are possibilities to hit such skill shots, but it's quite difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And an additional thing we are seeing coming out here, out of the bot laners, by the looks of it, it's gonna be the exhaust here. So both of the AD carries decide to opt for that recently buffed summoner spell instead of the heal even. So they still have the ignite down there in the bot lane, but one of the biggest difference is actually the mid, where Giga decided to go with the teleport while Merok goes with the ignite.
Yeah, and I mean, Merok needs to get something done in the early game. If he doesn't get snowballing, he will fall off way faster than the Mordekaiser does. And yeah, I feel like both teams have gotten what they want, but Rika's Gaming surely has the pressure on them to do something in the early to mid game.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you said it. Like, it's so much pressure on the Ahri here, and I mean, Giga, he can just sit back, farm, and then look for some good back timings. He will have the advantage for like his first recall, or then he could even look for like an early TP into the bot lane, get them ahead, and from there on out, there's even more pressure on the shoulders of Recast Gaming to like deny them, because I think we agree that the scaling is a lot stronger here on the side of Arctic.
Yeah, sure. Arctic. I mean, the Mundo is super scary. Then also, yeah. I mean, Mundo is surely the one that's scaling the best. And I mean, Recast have Tristana. Tristana was once one of the best scaling ADCs just because of the range she gets for leveling up. But that has changed quite a bit, and now, I mean, sure, she has still late game potential, but it's super hard to peel for her against that team of Arctic.
And then again, it's like I'm still not sure how Merok is really able to basically accomplish anything on that Ahri, because there's just gonna be Brahms unbreakable.
Well, don't underestimate
Okay, yeah.
him. He is a good Ahri player. His charm are like homing missiles. It's sometimes it's super weird how they hit, but he's very proficient on that champ. But now we are ready to jump into that first game, and we see.
Ooh, Aractosa gets the first blood.
Getting that. Yeah, first blood on that ward.
It's always nice to have. It sounds a bit like you've been on the opposing, on the receiving end of such a charm in the past, or am I mistaken there?
Yeah, I mean the charm is always super scary to get hit by, because it increases the damage from the other abilities. So yeah, it's always scary to get hit by that.
That is very, very true. I still like the Taric here coming out as well from Chaos in the bot lane. There he is a very, very strong champion with that Cosmic Radiance, and especially in those mid to late game team fights, he can have such a huge impact here. As far as it goes right now, we don't see anything out of the ordinary here. Quickly have to tell our production to maybe heighten the volume a little bit, because I don't think there is any sound on it so far, probably caused due to the switch here to the regular servers. But so far, yeah, nothing really out of the ordinary coming out so far. Just a bit of farmy business. So what are... there we go. We have some sound. Perfect. Or a little bit at least.
Yeah, well, for the laning state, I think most lanes don't really want to force all too much. Marok probably the only one that wants to look for early game aggression, because that Mordekaiser hasn't the strongest few levels. At level 3 he starts to somewhat being able to fight back, but against an Ahri that can just dodge most of his abilities if he's quick enough, and he should be. then it's quite hard to
Yeah,
fight her.
absolutely. And we actually see some interesting rune choices here coming out. One thing that stands out to me, first of all, it's Black opting for the Grasp of the Undying. Certainly something you can do. I mean, for Camille, you can also take the Arcane Comet or then the Conqueror that we see quite a lot usually. But he decided to go for that sustain option. And then Ximon going with the Hail of Blades there. While Saruda is looking for a potential gank here in the top lane.
Yeah, and now we see both junglers in the top river. Saruda looking for a gank while Aractosa tries to get the Scuttle Crab, but he has no smite up, and Saruda takes that with likes that very
in
much.
front of his nose there, and that is of course the thing with the with the Mundo going so low early. He had to use the smite there on the Wolfcamp, did not have it up for the Scuttle Crab there, and Blank now going in aggressively here onto Coffee Pub on that Aatrox.
Yeah, he has Blank always had the possibility with the with his passive that shields him very good, so that's always helpful to trade.
Saruda actually managed to get the double Scuttle Crab here, and the recast, they are going for quite a bit of early deep vision here. I like that very much coming out of them. We also have to quickly switch the score up on top, I think. And that is still swapped around there. Of course, it is recast on the right while Arctic Gaming is playing from the left here. On the blue side.
Yeah, but up until now, not much has happened. Arctic Gaming is a little bit in an advantage gold-wise, and I'm not really sure where that's coming from. I think that's just some little CS discrepancies.
Yeah, probably. I mean, in the top lane, Blank used to be a bit up in CS here so far. Was looking for a recall there, but decided against it eventually. But overall, things are still really even and rather quiet so far.
Yeah, both teams trying to farm up. I'm interested if some team tries to go for an early dragon. I would think that that's rather it's Recast Gaming going for an early dragon, and Saruda is already making his way down there.
Absolutely. And I'm surprised here. I mean, for Aractosa on the Mundo, it's completely fine here to just lay back here and first look to get a Cinderhawk, and then maybe even work on the second item, because he really wants to do any fighting of sorts, get to his ultimate. But for Saruda, I mean, the Jarvan can be so strong on level 2 and 3, especially when you bring the Conqueror to the table.
Yeah, we see now that Marok in the mid lane has a little bit of a freeze, and Giga has to respect that, and Giga is falling off in the CS department quite fast now, and maybe needs to call for some jungle assistance.
Absolutely. So for wards, deep wards here from Recast have timed out now, gives potentially Arctos a bit of more leeway here to maybe look for his first gank here coming in.
Yeah, up until now both teams were.
Oh, now we see a bit of an
bot lane
engager coming out onto Chaos. Ximon there gets exhausted. Murray throwing down crazy Koala, throwing out those spears like a madman, gets the rend in there. And so far it looks like quite an even trade. Right then and there, both of the junglers have made their way down here, but it will no kills going down so far.
Yeah, the crazy koala used his exhaust, so I mean it's a little advantage maybe for Recast Gaming, but nothing really meaningful. The only place where we see a discrepancy is in the mid lane, where Giga is now over 10 farm behind.
He had to give a little bit up there, had to of course respect the potential from Marok. But now in the top lane here, Coffee Bob is looking to collapse on Blanky, who nearly gets pulled back there by the by the chains here coming out from the Aatrox, but he will manage to escape thanks to his hookshot.
Yeah, yeah, it's good punish there for trying to punish him for
Oh,
trying to
Arctosa
take
now coming in here.
the cannon
He wants
minion.
to chase down. He
Yeah,
used.
he's level 6, he has a level advantage, and I think he wants just to
Yeah,
take that red
takes
buff.
it away there. Smites a little early, but
the
gets it
smite.
nevertheless. Meanwhile, Coffee Whoop and Blank are dueling up here in the top lane once more. Blank has gotten his Sheen now, and Cappuccino has a bit of a cooldown reduction acquired here with the Coalfield's Warhammer. Blank now has to jump out with the hookshot to get back to safety. Yeah, at this point the Aatrox can be really, really strong, and Arctosa is now looking to make his way up here. Does have the red
Ooh,
buff.
that's a risky play. I think Coffee Boop could maybe even turn that
Okay,
fight
they'll
around.
just
So
reset.
Arctosa
They'll
just
just reset the wave.
yeah, Arctosa wants to help pushing out the wave. So
Okay, there
Blank
comes
can
the World
reset.
Ender onto Blank. Here he goes quite low, and Arctosa also falls quite a bit. Has to pop his ultimate there to stay safe, and Saruda, with that vision on the enemy jungler, he decides to go for that first Ocean Drake here, who should be going down uncontested.
Yeah, that play was fitting for the ability name. It was a little bit of sadism for Arctosa to try to help out there, but now there is
Cosmic
contention.
Radiance coming down. Saruda is rather low, flashes out here, jumping onto the Kalista. They're taking her down. Sheffi also for the double kill going over to Marok here. Arctosa is low. Chaos also has to flash out. Blank now jumping in like a madman between 4 people here. He will get eliminated as well, and that's 3 kills over to the Fox Lady here.
Yeah, now he has that advantage
A
we
small
were
one.
talking about. Very greedy, I think, from Arctic Gaming to contest that dragon after they had to use so much on the top lane. So yeah, and it was just that Ari with her Spirit Rush was able to assist in the initial 2v2 of the bot laners. And we can look at that again in a replay.
There we see it, like Cosmic Radiance coming down, both of the TPs being channeled. Their Blank arrives a little early, but the Cosmic Radiance gets so much time here, and Ximon then just rocket jumping on top of the Kalista here. And he goes down super fast, has no chance against him and Marok. And meanwhile, there's a second fight going on top. Blank just wants to get something in return, burns the flash as well, but then in the end just falls to the numbers disadvantage here that they had.
Yeah, I think it was quite greedy to go for that with the cooldown on sadism still up for Arctosa, so he couldn't regenerate the HP he would have needed to keep on fighting there. And Arctosa now can at least secure the Scuttle Crab, and he's quite a bit of farm ahead in
I mean,
the
the first, let's be honest, like the first clear absolutely sucks, but then after that you have one of the fastest clears in the game, especially once you once you finish that Cinder Hull. Then it's like the jungle is your oyster, and you can just like a bulldozer get through all these camps. With also the masochism on your E that gives you so much AD, and then the burning agony that just provides so much assistance in taking down these camps. And Saruda actually here has to jump out of the Rift Herald pit here. Will it reset? No, not quite yet. Shelly, she really likes to go for these fights and does not back away that easily, and it looks like they cannot really contest it, and the Rift Herald will go over to Recast Gaming here.
Yeah, and there were some interesting lane swaps going on there. Arctic Gaming first swapping their bot lane into that mid lane, and now to the top lane to match up against the enemy's bot lane. And now Blank has to face off Marok while Giga is facing off Coffee Boop. I think that's an advantage for Recast Gaming because that Camille really struggles against Ari in this phase of the game, especially
against
now
the
that
3-0.
Ari has
Yeah,
3
absolutely.
kills.
By the way, one thing that kind of went under the radar, Marok decided to opt for the electrocute, so no freeze build coming out of that Ari. He just wants to go full damage here. I personally like the decision because they, like outside of him and Tristana, they don't have too much damage here coming in. And now that Rift Herald is being deployed here in the mid lane, they are aggressively going for that first tower here and will go down here for Recast Gaming. Taking down the mid lane turret that early into the game is a really good advantage for them.
Yeah, they even get the second charge off, so the inner turret, the mid lane, is now under half HP, and Recast Gaming start to pull away with that dragon fight and then with the Rift Herald take. Now over 2.5k advantage at 40 minutes closing in.
Absolutely, and Saruda manages to get, for once he gets one of the scuttle crabs back here into his own pocket. Like, so far, Recasts, they seem to be in control here, especially when it comes to those early game objectives here. And yeah, Arctic Gaming, they were always a little bit behind when it came to the timings here. And they seemed a little indecisive whether to contest certain things or just let them go, which just in the end led to kind of a time loss for their side.
Yeah, but he said that Arctic Gaming is scaling better, so I start to ask myself if that advantage is enough. But now Arctic Gaming is trying to pressure that top lane while the dragon is spawning in 20 seconds again. So I'm not sure if that's the way to go.
By the way, Chaos on the Taric, he has completed the Catalyst of Eons. What is he going to do with that? Oh, why? Meanwhile, Coffee Boob here gets knocked up. Nice ultimate there from the Kalista to save her support, and now they take down Caputimo. Arokdosa just tanks up everything here with the sadism coming out, and they get themselves a clean dive right here.
Yeah, but now that's a free Drake for Recast Gaming, and it's a turret trade, so it's a one kill for a Drake essentially, and I don't think that's worth it for Arctic Gaming because now it's already the second Drake for Recast Gaming. But with your point about the catalyst on Taric it can make so much use of just the component alone. He most times just builds it and then leaves it like that because he otherwise has often mana issues. And with that, he can deal with that quite well.
He can trade aggressively and then gets mana back, and with his Qs he can just spend mana like rather easily and then get health back by that essentially. So, but it's an interesting choice here to go for that. It's not.
It's quite common.
But on the other hand, like Sheffe already completed his Gargoyle's stone plate here, so if they decide to go for a fight here, he will be super tanky.
Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna help too much because Marok will melt away Kyler Murray, or I mean Crazy Koala quite fast.
That is true. As we see the first items here being completed, we have the Infinity Edge here on Ximon, and he went for that Executioner's Calling right away. Caputimo, he decided against it. Let's see if he will also be building that, especially against the Mundo. That is like a necessity essentially.
Yeah, I mean that's something both teams have to watch out for. The healing reduction is very much important, and against Mundo more than anyone else. I mean, Aatrox is also healing very much, but it's more manageable than Mundo.
It's kind of a burst healing, so if you can just CC him down, he won't be healing too much here and there. As we have a look here at the individual gold, we see top lane is quite even, but Arctosa is quite a bit ahead here in the jungle. But on the other hand, like Marok is nearly 2k up on his Ahri there. Chefe now looking for an engage here onto Ximon. He uses the Buster Shot there to get out of harm's way. Arctosa flashes after him, burning Agony there, doing so much damage. But now Cosmic Radiance come down and they are really overextended here. Caputimo comes in there, but gets taken down by Crazy Koala. Nice Cataclysm coming out from Saruda there, and Crazy Koala just firing away, but he falls in the end. Meanwhile, Giga managed to take down Ximon in the back, but they lose their support and AD carry as well. So overall, it's a 2-for-2 trade here.
Yeah, it was very close. Giga was able to flash and then ultimate Ximon and bring him into his death realm while Ximon was jumping. The rocket jump is a super strong ability against CC, but the death realm still goes through.
That is absolutely true. And Marok here, actually, he has already completed 2 items here to Luden's Echo there, followed up by a Proto Belt. So he just wants to get into range to land these charms, and here we see it again. Like Arctosa, he's going very deep here.
That was super aggressive, but then the teleport from Coffee Booth was a little bit too soon and they can burst him down there, and then Ximon gets beaten there behind and Crazy Koala gets killed at the end.
They were disengaging for a moment and I thought they kind of could go back in, but Marok was like, nah, I get a say in this as well, and just bursts them down. So not really much they could do to escape from him. And yeah, as you mentioned before, that Ahri really coming in strong here for Marok. As we said before, he's up more than 2,000 gold here on his Ahri over the Mordekaiser, and deals quite a significant amount of them.
Yeah, and the last time we looked at the gold, it was both carries from Recast Gaming quite far ahead. If we can look at it again, it's yeah, they have the gold at the right places. You can see there over 1,000 gold ahead is Ximon, and then also nearly 2,000 gold ahead for Marok. And sure, Arctosa is also a little bit ahead. Oh, now in the top lane.
Blank here has to get out with the hookshot yet again. Uses the Hextech ultimatum there to jump onto Coffee Booth to try and get out of harm's way, but he gets taken down here. Now that's a 4v5 here as they are looking to get Dragon number 3 here under their belt on the side of Recast Gaming. Arctic, they are going for this. They are a man down. Caputimo does not have the TP ready, but there's the Cosmic Radiance now coming in. It's a very massive idea. Chefe goes rather low here. Ximon jumps in with the rocket jump here. Giga nearly manages to take down the Ahri here, slaps her mace over the head and takes the kill, but they have already lost 2 of them, and that is going to be the, well, nearly the A here as Blank just respawns here, and now it looks like they're looking to go directly over to the Baron.
I mean, in all the chaos of that, Arctic Gaming was able to secure the dragon, but they traded 4 for 1, and now they are looking at a Baron taken by Recast Gaming. Blank tries to get some vision onto it, but have no TP up, so they no way to contest this. Recast Gaming are pulling ahead quite fast now. They are over 5,000 gold ahead, now near 11,000 gold ahead, and we can now look at the dragon fight once
It is
more.
a bit like, I don't know, it's not poker. Bluffing is not gonna get you that far. They're just walking up here while they don't really have any advantages of any sorts. I mean, Chefe, he's already nearly dead here because before he even gets to pop his stone plate. Yeah, Giga gets the death onto Marok there and manages to take him out in the end, but his entire team just falls around him, and there's not really much they could really get out of that. They get the dragon, but what is that really worth? It was not even soul point here for Recast Gaming, and Merox just snacks himself another kill there as he puts Giga back into the fountain. And now Arakdosa is also falling. The Red Herald wants to come and party as well. And it's a 3 versus 5 at the moment. They have the Baron buff up on all of their members here on the side of Vcast. They are taking the mid inhib for sure. It's looking dire for Arctic Gaming.
Yeah, and the last fight that the Dragon team weren't able, Recast were able to just shut out Crazy Koala in the beginning, so he wasn't able to participate really at that fight, and that was what won that fight so hard for Recast Gaming. And now with the Baron, they are just pressuring all the lanes. They just were able to get the mid lane inhibitor with the Herald. They now got 2/3 of that top lane inhibitor turret. They can now reset and go for one more round of a Baron push, or they are able
walking
to
forward here. Gets hit up by the charm, but manages to get away here. And like at the moment, yeah, we see the executioners coming out. Okay.
Oh, that was the solo kill.
It's just
yeah.
Yeah. An Ahri that's
a fox lady dancing around
absolutely.
you.
That's an Ahri that's about a death cap ahead at this point. And then Arakdosa here also can't really do much. Ximon with the Executioner's Calling will also reduce his healing quite significantly, even though he has reached his level 2 in that ultimate already. But before level 3, the healing reduction does a lot against the Mundo.
Yeah, and yeah, it's interesting now how Recast Gaming is gonna try to close out that game, because now it's in their hands to finish that. They are now going slowly taking the win in the bottom half of the jungle, and they are trying to get a 4-1 with the Aatrox on the plane splitting. And think Arctic Gaming don't really have the engaging tools to test that.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's really hard for them to find any alleyway of any sort to back in this game. And yeah, meanwhile, it's just having his way with the turrets here. Can push them from such a far there. Charm there, land onto Giga, and he just explodes right there. Chef tries to help out there. Saruta even flashes after.
Oh, it was really close.
And nearly manages to take down, but he will stay alive now. But the world is really collapsing around Arctic Gaming at the moment, and tries to hold off Capuchin on that top lane there. But in the end, I mean, he will just be able to pull him away. Black now flashing in there onto Ximon. The Hextech ultimatum, but he only hit onto Saruda there for some reason. Crazy Koala decides, or tries to at least get like in return here, but he does not have items, he does not have the levels here. He seems rather weak here compared to Ximon, who is level 14, and just jump after him there. And Giga now tries to get something in return, puts Cappuccino Death Realm there, but in the meantime the ace just goes down for Arctic Gaming, and there's nothing really they can do to stop Recast anymore. And yeah, that was a rather slow-paced first game here coming out, but in the end it was rather one-sided here. Well, it took a lot of time to like get rolling, you know what I mean?
It had just it started slow, but then as soon as that third dragon fight happened, it was very fast. Recast saw they had the advantage, and they pushed down the gas pedal, and yeah, pedal to the metal, and just finished the game rather quick.
Yes, I agree with you. It was like, but you know what I mean? It was like a slow build up, and then there was that one fight at Dragon where Ari got 3 kills, and then it was essentially it already felt a bit over. then Arctic Game just like played into Recast Gaming's hands. They just like walked into them for no apparent reason really, trying to contest that third dragon. They got it, but in the end they just gave over 4 more kills, while they had already lost their top laner previously, and at that point it was more or less a done deal here for the side of Arctic.
Yeah, but I think Arctic already made earlier the mistake to trying to contest the dragon where they had no business of contesting it, and I think that was really the downfall for Arctic Game, that they tried to contest dragons.
Aided by the Drake.
Yeah, I mean it was 2 times where they tried to fight at the dragon and they had no business being there, and they got punished for it, and Recast was taking everything they got.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you on that. It was like, okay, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna let us have it and are not gonna punish us anywhere on the map, I mean, they basically got everything. I mean, Recast Gaming, they got the 2 early dragons, they got the Rift Herald, they got
Both
the second
Rift
Rift
Heralds.
Herald too then, and yeah, just looking over, I mean, Arctic, they managed to take then 1 tower that entire game, so that already tells quite a bit of a story here on how one-sided that entire thing went. I feel like they were a little unsure in the early game how to really deal with Recast here at this point.
I mean, they didn't have to force in the early game. That was completely normal. But then they tried to force at the dragon, and that was the big first mistake, I think. And if they can clean up that, I think the match could have been way longer and maybe even fallen into their favor.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it looks like we have a bit of an audio issue here coming out. As I read from the chat, I of course apologize for that and hope we get everything fixed up right on time here, as we can hopefully delve into game number 2 here soon. What kind of adaptations have to come out here from the side of Arctic Gaming if they want to stand a chance in that second game?
I think one big problem was that they had no way to deal with that Taric. I think they either need more decisive engage tools or some way to disengage, because that was really a problem. As the third dragon fight, we saw that it was just the Cosmic Radiance on, I think, 3 people, and they weren't able to bring them down because they were invulnerable for the right amount of time, and the only way they were able to fight was to stand there and wait out that time, and that's not an effective way to fight against the Taric. I think they really lacked engage in that game.
You could really see that. Like, also when it came to tower sieging, Simon was just standing there shooting away at the tower, and there was absolutely nothing they could have done. I mean, with the Siphon of Death from Mordekaiser for a pick is like super unreliable. They did not really have any impactful AoE abilities they could have used. I mean, yeah, there is the Glacial Fissure from the Braum, but that had such a long wind up and is not really a suitable engage tool. So yeah, and I mean, we mentioned the Mundo previously, and yeah, he can be a strong chunk because he is so durable and tanky, and he clears quite well after that first clear. But then in the end, he does not really provide any CC to your team. He has a lot of damage essentially, but he can't really lock someone down. And yeah, it only is a cataclysm from the Jarvan essentially to either force him to flash or he will just die.
Yeah. I think that the draft from Arctic was somewhat fine, but I didn't realize during the pick and ban phase that they had no engage, and maybe they will realize that too and adapt that. I think if they bring some engage into that comp, it can work out. But yeah, I'm interested if that's if they have the same opinion or if they try something completely different. But yeah, that's up to
Yeah, and I
them now.
think they should maybe also consider to lock in their jungler earlier, because really looked like Arctosa was affected quite a bit by the fact that his jungle pool got pinched early. He did not really have those impact junglers at his disposal anymore that he likes to play so much usually. So yeah, we'll have to see how they are going to be adapting coming into game number 2. But before that, we're going to be heading into a short break, only about 5 minutes. So get something to drink, get your feet moving a little bit, and we'll see you right back.
Said I'd find a way to turn my heart into something gold. Knew I sold my soul to the devil long ago. I rode it all along on your wave right before it broke. Time was thrown down the well, so I let you go. What I do right now. What I do right now for you. Carolina skies in the night, floating by your side. I fed up when you.
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Wir arbeiten schon viel. Und das darf auch sein. Es gehört halt auch dazu. Aber die Technik schafft heute auch viel. Immer mehr sogar. Die Luftfeuchtigkeit passt. Die Stauatmosphäre stimmt. Und wenn die Technik immer mehr schafft, könnten wir ja zwischendurch ein Kehr weniger krampfen. Oder etwa nicht?
La la la.
You ready? Huh? Hey, he's a good boy, huh? You ready? Huh?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com. Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Song, sing a song, 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 song. Song, sing a song, 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 song. Song, sing a song, 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 song. Song, sing a song, 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 song. Song, sing a song, 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 song. Do, 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 do.
Wir arbeiten schon viel. Und das darf so sein. Es gehört halt auch dazu. Aber die Technik schafft heute auch viel. Immer mehr sogar. Die Luftfeuchtigkeit passt. Die Stauatmosphäre stimmt. Und wir ja zwischendurch ein Kehr weniger krampfen. Oder etwa nicht?
La la la.
You ready? Huh? Hey, he's a good boy, huh? You ready? Huh?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Good evening and welcome back everyone to the Swisscom Hero League powered by ESL and of course made possible by our sponsors Samsung and Omen by HP. My name is still Don Rigoni and next to me is nobody less than the one and only Chef here. And what a game we've already seen tonight.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm happy that you didn't change your name during that
You
pause.
never know.
Would have been confusing, but
Some
yeah.
people change their account name I think more than they possibly changed their underwear, so you never know.
Yeah, I hope that most people change their underwear more often than they change their name. But back to the game we just saw. Yeah, I think Recast had a good showing in that first game, and Arctic really needs to step up a bit. I think they really need to make already adaptations in the draft, otherwise that's gonna be a hard one to get back into the series.
Absolutely. And I think one of our viewers there in the chat beside us wrote, I guess Arctic decided not to do anything this game, not sure why. And it felt a bit that way. I mean, they didn't really know where to go on the map, especially once those objectives where well, when they were arrived kind of late to the objectives, and Recast was already in position to take them down, and then after that they just got essentially shooed over the map, and yeah, we're always like running away or running to the point of action.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing, and I really hope they bring some engage or some win condition, because I felt like against that Taric, the Taric countered everything that Arctic was doing, and that's not really a good thing if one pick counters everything you're trying to
absolutely. Good point there, because like Arctic, they really went for a composition that wants long drawn out fights, and if in those scenarios you can have the Taric ultis down, and you're like committing for a fight, but you can't essentially hurt the enemy, then you fall down behind quite quickly in that scenario, and then in the end you don't really have, like you didn't really, the time doesn't even matter. You didn't get like enough chance to even deal damage to them. But now we have actually swapped sides here. Recast now on the blue side and Arctic on the red side. We see the set ban coming out, as well as the Senna here from Arctic. So both of these we've already seen being banned in game number 1.
Yeah, I'm interested what Arctic is gonna pick in the solo lanes, because I felt neither the Camille nor the Mordekaiser achieved really much in that game, or for that matter even Kalista that didn't even really work out. So I feel like Arctic Gaming, yeah, they didn't have the right champions for their playstyle.
Absolutely. Felt like maybe they also realized too late that they didn't really have any reliable form of engagement here. Recast actually decides to switch up the ban here, go for the Vigar here. Interesting choice there coming out on the side of Arctic. They still decide to target Ximon here, taking away his Caitlyn.
Yeah, and now I'm also again interested how the jungle is gonna get focused. The Olaf now already banned out, but Rek'Sai now open. I'm not sure if Recast Gaming wants to get Rek'Sai for themselves, or if they wanna bait Aractosa even a little bit to pick it up for himself.
So they could really see that. And now it is open. Will they get it?
Yeah, the Trundle got banned out, and Wukong with
though.
his rework now is really strong, with his double cyclone and with the armor he can get from his passive. He gets now locked in, and yeah, I'm interested what Arctic is now gonna pick up. I mean, it would also be Syra account would be open if they wanna go for something like that.
They also have a lot of potential here on their side. But I'm guessing it's gonna be the Rek'Sai here. They need something reliable that provides them with the pressure. Okay, it looks like you are right.
Yeah,
or I mean they
they
could also wait here essentially with the Rakan, because they would just put Recast in the awkward position that they would have to pick the Rakan if they want to get that away from Arctic.
Yeah, but I think Aractosa likes to see what the enemies are already drafting, and yeah, the Ornn is also a strong pick, and now they have engaged.
Now they really do. The Ornn is a super strong tool, if not the strongest engaged tool. Well, maybe Malphite ulti can be a little stronger.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure from Ornn's ultimate is super strong, but now Recast Gaming is again going back to that Taric, and I think they are also gonna lock in an AD carry to pair up with that Taric. I'm not sure if it's gonna be against a Tristana or maybe something else. No, it's gonna be the Tristana once more.
Decide to stick to
and they seem to really like that bot lane.
And there looks to be the second part of the lovers duo now coming in here. And I'm guessing Arctic will once again probably go for the Syndra ban and probably the Ahri this time, yeah. So to take that away there.
Yeah. I'm interested to see now Arctic Gaming has as they have the red side, they can now pick the jungler as their fourth pick and then have a counter pick open. And now Recast Gaming decides to ban out the Rek'Sai, and I think they are even gonna ban out something like the Lee Sin or that Elise.
Yeah, I see that here. Just to get that jungle pool as small as possible. We've seen that in game number 1 where they like had to resort to something a little unconventional, but there is the Orianna being banned out, so it looks like they are prioritizing that ban over the Syndra right here. And yeah, as you mentioned previously, I expect a jungle pick to come through here in 4th for Arctic.
I could see the Lee Sin or also the J4 gonna be locked in for Arctic Gaming. I think the J4 with the Cataclysm is a very good setup for then the Call of the Forge God, and yeah, the J4 is gonna get locked in, and now Recast Gaming has to round out their composition.
It has really wombo combo potential here on the side of Arctic here. I mean, you have the Cataclysm, then you have the Rakan engage with the quickness plus Battle Dance here to go in, and then the Ornhorde to... Okay, we seem to have dropped out yet again here from Champ Select. We'll have to set that back up as soon as possible again. But, yeah.
But I mean, this time we have engaged for Arctic.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Arctic Gaming now really has some good engage. Especially also I like that with this composition, the J4 can go in, then the Rakan can follow up, and then the Ornhorn is also another engage possibility. So that's a lot of AoE CC that Arctic has now compared to the last game where they had Braum ult, Camille hookshot, that was our Siphon of Destruction from Mordekaiser, all not very good CC tools.
Absolutely.
So I like that very much.
Yeah.
Better the draft that Arctic is showing this time.
And I'm being told we'll have to redo the draft because apparently they don't own all the champions since we are not on tournament realm here. They have to stick to their own accounts, of course, and if you don't have all the champions unlocked there, could have used maybe a proxy pick for the next one, and then we'll just quickly redo that one. But as it stands, we'll have to wait to set that back up, and we can hopefully get into Champ Select soon again to see what those last 3 champions that are still open are going to be. Because we have seen the Jarvan that was locked in, but then on the side of Recast, we have not seen everything yet.
I mean the Taric Tristana bot lane worked out very well for Recast Gaming, and they have it now again for the second game. I'm interested to see how they are gonna match up against that Lovers duo, because they are very oppressive in the early game, and I think the Taric Tristana are gonna get a little bit in trouble in the late phase.
I think so too. And also in the mid to late game teams fights, it will be a lot harder here, especially if Ximon decides to go for those aggressive rocket jumps forward again. I mean, this time they have quite the explosive turnaround potential here on the side of Arctic, and then that can go sideways quite quickly. Plus, they don't have... Well, the Tristana is slippery, but outside of that, so far they don't have too much mobility, so it's not easy for them to get out of these cataclysms, to get away from the Ornhorn. And I'm curious what they're gonna be bringing out here, as as the rest of the draft will soon continue. But I mean, on the side of Recast, they did get the Wukong, and Wukong is probably the strongest champion currently.
That's a strong statement. Explain yourself.
Well, he rocks like a 55 to 56% win rate in solo queue. It's like, as a, I have to double check, but probably close to 100% presence currently in professional League of Legends. Let's have a look at the LEC playoffs actually.
Yeah, I mean, he surely is strong, but I feel like he still can get punished, especially from AP damage. So I'm interested to see what Arctic Gaming is gonna draft as their AP damage, because their last pick will have to be some heavy AP damage.
Absolutely, absolutely. They really do need that one. In terms of, I'm still thinking what they could be whipping out here. I could really see the Syndra coming out here. They are already more on a kind of a pick comp, so to speak. I mean, even though the Wukong can have some teamfight influence. Yeah. What I found interesting actually about the Wukong rework, that even before the rework, Wukong had like one of the best win rates in the like super late game. So once you max him out on items, he apparently was extremely strong, but like he never got there because his ability was so weak. Oh, it's actually not gonna be the Jarvan here, but the Zac instead.
Yeah, that is helping surely to get some picks, and that's also something you can do against the Taric. You can to try and engage somebody and pick him off before the Cosmic Radiance can come down. And Recast Gaming now decides themselves to pick the Mordekaiser, and yeah, now they are needing a jungler. Now the J4 is open, maybe they wanna pick the J4 themselves. Or they... If they pick Diana now, I'm not 100% sure who's going into the jungle.
Yeah, probably the Wukong. Wukong is works in the top lane as well as the jungle, that is so. But he can dish out quite a bit of damage. Usually it's a lot harder, of course, in the jungle, because sometimes you also want to go for that Trinity Force, and that's such an expensive item. So that power spike is delayed just naturally due to the nature of junglers these days. But by the looks of it, it's going to be the Cassiopeia here coming in the mid lane. So even more wombo combo potential here. I mean, just by throwing the Miasma down, you just, nobody is gonna be able to flash out, and then you just layer all the CC on top.
Yeah, and I think Cassiopeia is a very good pick, because she will be in charge to deal with that Wukong, because he gets so much armor while he's fighting that it's really hard for an AD carry to kill that Wukong in the mid to late game. So Cassiopeia is also scaling very good, and now Arctic Gaming again has a very strong scaling comp. They have two very strong late game carries, and also the Zac and that Ornn aren't bad at scaling. So I think it's again at Recast to deal with that in the early to mid game, but last time it worked out super fine for Recast Gaming to play for that early and mid game. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I like the comp of Arctic more this time than last game.
Like more damage, more CC, more engage.
Yeah, but Recast Gaming has also a lot of great tools, and I think in the mid game they will per default nearly win these fights because they have a little bit better scaling into that mid
Yeah,
game.
I agree. And like they have so much potential here to pop off. I mean, if Ximon gets ahead, it becomes essentially really hard for Arctic to like collapse upon. The Diana can just run over you if she manages to get ahead, and I think in the early game, just with her Q plus E, she can look for some aggressive plays onto the Cassiopeia, maybe even supported by Saruda on the Wukong, who after like at the very latest, once he hits his level 6, will be super influential on the map. And then of course also the Mordekaiser that even though it did not work out for Arctic in game number 1, it can be a very strong pick, of course.
Yeah, and I think it's also a better pick into that Ornn rather than into the Ari we had it matched up last time, because in these melee matchups it can be really hard to play around that Mordekaiser. And if he gets the time to beat you around while his passive is active, it's gonna be real hard, especially as it deals bonus max HP damage. And that's gonna hurt Norn pretty badly, and also a Zac.
Absolutely. So it is gonna be a tough one there up in the top lane, already in that 1v1. But I mean, if he can get through the early game, that Ornn is just gonna be super tanky and nearly unkillable there for blank. And yeah, also of course the Ornn upgrades coming in for the side of Arctic Gaming. That's just kind of a win condition in itself, because you get so much innate value out of these upgrades.
Yeah, but for the early game, I think Arctic Gaming should really focus on that bottom lane. They have the Lovers duo, which is really strong, and to shut down a Tristana in the early game would be very helpful. But it's gonna be hard because the Cassiopeia can't really pressure the lane herself in the early game, so she can't get the advantage to roam down, at least not before she completes the Staff of Seraphs, because before that she has too much mana problems and won't really be able to help too much.
But I mean, if they manage to catapult her ahead, put some attention in that mid lane early on, and essentially skip those weaker phases, she can just explode. And I mean, a Cassiopeia, once she gets running, it will be like insanely strong. The one thing I am curious about, whether he's going to opt for the phase rush or the conqueror in this scenario.
I hope for him that he goes for the phase rush, otherwise it's gonna be real hard to play against that Diana and also that Wukong. And for me it's a clear matchup where you go for phase rush, but maybe he brings out the Conqueror. And I mean, the extra healing you get is still so very strong, but the phase rush just brings so much value at kiting that I think he has to go for that.
And I mean, Cassio here I really like, because she can shut down a lot of the tools of Recast Gaming. She can just throw down her Miasma on top of the Diana, and she essentially cannot move anymore. She can't really get in there to pop her ultimate. She can potentially even shut the Wukong down, or like keep him in place. And also the Tristana will not be able to jump out when she's grounded.
Yeah. And they have enough other CC tools to try to keep them in the miasma, and that's a big problem if a Diana. Oh, we see a little invade going on. Let's see if they gonna get something. They tried to get a ward in, but Arctic Gaming can clear that ward.
So, yet again, they get the first blood onto the ward. Love,
and we see Zac
just love
floating
this.
around a little
the chewing gum bubble.
Yeah, it's the chroma of the normal skin. I like it also really much. But Rika's Gaming at least get a ward onto that blue buff, and now both junglers start on the
Yeah,
top
I
side.
like Recast Gaming. They really want to get an advantage here early with that vision to just track the Zac properly, because of course he is quite a threatening engager. He needs a couple of points in that elastic slingshot before he really gets going. But they really want to respect that because they know if they fall behind early, it's going to be really tough for them to recover.
Yeah. Um, but I'm expecting again a rather slow early game. The Zac hasn't really the a good potential to gank before he gets some
Okay.
points into his elastic slingshot, and up until then it's hard for him to get good gank down.
So what should be like the focus points here, you think, for Arctic if they want to take this like to the full length of a 3-game match?
I think they really need to just play the game calm, get at least 1 or 2 items onto Giga, let Blank also get some levels, and just try to play through that bottom lane for the early game. And then as soon as they have 2 items on nearly everybody, then they can try to contest stuff. Up until then, they should even let the Drakes and maybe also the Rift Herald go, and don't try to force these objectives too
We
hard.
saw how that worked out in game number 1. So this time they should really tame themselves. Saruda is now making his way down to the bot lane potentially. Just looking for the scuttle at the moment here, while Aractosa just clears 2 camps at once there with all his bloblets. They spot Saruda, their Giga is moving down while the bot lane is moving up, but he already has the scuttle secured here and will leave that bottom lane yet again. And he goes for another double scuttle here by the looks of it.
Yeah, Zac is really not the strongest jungler in these early levels, so that's pretty easily doable for him, especially as as both his solo laners have pressure and could rotate before the enemies could.
Now he is up in the top lane here, potentially looking for a first quick gank here, but with the Deathclaw missing there onto the Ornn. He just backs away, but Sheffe now jumping in here with the grand entrance there, and Ximon has to flash out here, gets ignited. Aractosa is charging the elastic slingshot here, but it's not even necessary. The damage already has been done.
Yeah, and that was because Sheffe was able to interrupt the rocket jump from Ximon, and that's always super punishing if you are manage to do that. I hope he doesn't go in, because that would be suicide for Aractosa.
Yes, and he is on top of a ward there. Saruda also gets spotted out now, so they decide to back away here. And yeah, Marok now putting quite a bit of hurt here onto Giga on the Cassiopeia, who in fact went with the phase rush here.
Yeah, and now he's trying to back off. I don't know if he wants to go for the early tier. He decides now to stay. I'm not sure what he's trying to do now. Maybe getting a level more so his TP has less cooldown. And in the top lane we also just see that Kaffeeburg went for an early reset and now would be able to freeze and have a TP advantage, because he's forcing Blank to TP back to this wave, and he's doing exactly that.
Very right there. Good point actually. I haven't even thought about that with the TP changes, that it now, if you're higher level, it does have a shorter cooldown, so if you can delay your reset, you get that advantage as well.
Yeah, but now we see on the minimap that Blank is still walking to that lane, so he will lose a lot of farm and experience in that top lane and will fall behind Kaffeeburg a little bit, who was catching up in farm up until now.
I mean, Blank, he already is at 42 CS here, and the minimap is about even, so they are still about equal here in the farms department. by the looks of it at the moment. And yeah, Blank will probably just be able to push out the wave here completely and then reset it.
I'm not even sure. Do you know the interaction? And do you know the interaction between the bellows breath and the ultimate, the death realm of Mordekaiser?
I think if you time it correctly, he can put you in the death realm. But there is Merok now going in. He charges onto Giga, who misses the petrifying gaze there. That could have spelled death here for Merok, but Saruda now coming in here from the side, looking for a cheeky kill there. But Giga is paying attention, does not give over that kill. But very nice pressure there coming out from Merok on his Diana.
Now Blank is trying to see if Saruda is at the red buff, and indeed he is, but Blank is enough pressure to scare him away, and Saruda has to go back to his blue buff, and that's the call for Aractosa to go for that early dragon, and that shouldn't happen for Recast Gaming. Arctic Gaming shouldn't be allowed to go for an early dragon.
But if you look at the bot side here, they have such strong vision control here. 2 pink vision wards there in the tri-brush as well as the river brush there. Giga having pushed out the wave, now also moving down to the dragon. That's first Drake here, going over to the side of Arctic Gaming, while also bot seems to be in firm control here of Arctic.
Yeah, and things are looking pretty good for Arctic Gaming, but they are 500 gold behind. I guess that's just farm discrepancies, especially I think from the jungle, where Saruda was able to pick up both early scuttle crabs. And now Aractosa is moving to the bot lane.
Xayah is stepping. Oh, nice catch there on to Simon. And he does connect the slingshot there with the Q as well. Onto the turret. Chaos now going really low. He flashes forward. Crazy Koala is going crazy indeed here and takes him down. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Blank gets engaged upon. Saruda comes in from the side and secures the kill there with the Cyclone. Otherwise, Caputimo could have gone down here to the hands of Blank, but overall, that's a big gain there down in the bot lane for the side of Arctic.
Yeah, for sure, but now Recast Gaming will look for that Rift Herald. Blank still has his TP, but I don't think they are gonna contest this as Aractosa is still in the base. And we see Aractosa is only level 5, but now we are looking at the replay from that bottom lane.
The slingshot anymore. That was just perfectly timed there onto him, and he was too late on the trigger there for the rock jump. And then look at Krikwala, he just flashes forward there with the Feather Storm to take down the kill and then get out on the backside of that turret.
Yeah. And now Sheffe is trying to see if he can punish
looking for an
Merok.
engage here with the battle dance. Gets pulled in there by the Moonfall, but he jumps out there. Nice battle dance onto Giga to get out of harm's way. And with that, they burn the flash here from Merok, but other than that, nothing more is gained. A Blank now.
Yeah, but I mean, burning that flash is pretty big. Now Recast Gaming are leaving their bottom lane down, and Arctic Gaming is swapping up. I guess that's because they think Blank can survive under that turret against the opponents of Recast Gaming, and that they can pressure the top lane better than against that Tristana, and yeah, they are already taking the first turret play.
Good decision here out of... Now the punish here coming in with the elastic slingshot onto Merok. There's the Miasma coming down, and with that the Diana can't really do anything. Now the Let's Bounce comes out here from Aractosa. Saruda also making his way in, but he's dying way faster than the Diana is. But Aractosa overstays his welcome, jumps underneath the turret and gets taken down there by Merok, who just eliminates him quite quickly there. That was a little bit too much there.
Yeah, but what was that? It was completely out of sync because first engage from Aractosa was super good, pulling back even into the miasma, but then Giga misses his Noxious Blast, and that's something super important in such a trade. And then Aractosa, I don't know, tunnel visions or something, and goes super deep under that turret without that real chance of getting the kill.
He's not that tanky yet. He's just a big blob of goo at the moment, and that will die quite quickly here. And yeah, Rika's now smelling that something must be up there, deciding to back away from that mid lane turret here. If we look at the farm department, I mean, Caputimo is up here in the top lane. That was more or less a little bit to be expected here. Also has a bit of an advantage there in terms of the gold. But when we look at Saruda, he's up quite a bit here over Aractosa, and so is Merok over his counterpart. But down in the bot lane, it looks quite different since Crazy Koala does have these 2 kills on the Xayah and already got a turret plating down up in the top lane.
Yeah, but Aractosa now, he is approaching his level 9 where he can max out his elastic slingshot, and that's when he gets real scary because then his engage range is super long, and that's then gonna be scary for the rest of that game.
Absolutely. Arctic, they decided to rotate their bot lane up into the mid here. Now the Rift Herald is being unleashed here onto the bottom lane with Saruda and Merok standing nearby here to take the credit here and the turret plating gold. They don't get first tower here though, thanks to Sheffe roaming down here.
Yeah, but still in the platings department, Rika's Gaming now is firmly ahead, and now the second Drake, the Infernal Drake, is live, and both teams seem to want to contest that. All the ultimates are up, expect from that from the mid laners. Both sides don't have these ultimates, but I'm really interested who is gonna get there first. Arctic Gaming has to try and get control over it. Rika's Gaming starting it off.
But there is no way that Arctic yet again should be contesting this, since Cappuccino still has his teleport up here. They are standing nearby, just watching the dragon go down instead of backing off and looking to push out the wave any further here, and the dragon goes over to the side of Recast Gaming while we make our way onto a mountain rift.
Yeah, and now in the bottom lane, the first blood turret will fall for Recast Gaming as Giga backed off, and yeah, Giga now has at least his Staff of the Seraphs finished, and I hope that now he can try to compete a little bit more, because up until now he had to give up quite much.
I'm curious how far away from the Seraphs he still is on his Archangels there. Can't be too much yet because Cassio is really strong at stacking up that tier really quickly. But so far, I mean, with a proper setup, I think they could have looked for a fight there around that dragon, because the Xayah already had her Essence Reaver completed, while the Tristana is still sitting at components plus a dagger.
No, I mean, I think it was good because Cassiopeia had no way to get to that fight, so they would have been a person less. So it was the right decision to let it go. Now Aractosa is getting spotted here doing the Rift Gobbler, but he gets help from Sheffe and can secure that for himself. Sheffe even the same level as Aractosa.
Yeah, that's just the world we live in, where junglers and supports, they will just be low level for the majority of the game, unless you're like a Yi or a Karthus or something that just clears the jungler over and over again.
Yeah, and Giga is happy with the state of the game now, because he has now a long lane where he can just take the wave always under his turret. and
Oh, Saruda.
Arctic tries to set up on the top river for that Rift Herald, I
Yeah,
guess.
they're looking for it, and also the mid lane turret is already at half HP here for the side of Recast Gaming. Arctic, they could be looking for a little bit of action here coming into the mid. Marok now backing away from the bottom lane here. Giga still can't really face him at the moment, and he will have to look for these team fight scenarios where the DPS coming out of that Casio will really make a difference.
Yeah, and Caputimo is going for that Gnasher's Tooth build, so he has a strong 1v1 potential like
Saruda
this.
going
And
in,
Saruda now
Cyclone,
engaging.
nice Taric ulti there coming down onto him. Arakdosa there gets knocked up, manages to make his way out with the Let's Bounce there. Crazy Koala has to burn both his Flash as anti-exhaust as well as the Feather Storm here, and Recast Gaming will just make their way onto the second Rift Herald here and will once again be gladly picking that up. But wait a second, Arctic Gaming is still in the area here. Do they want to contest it? No, they just
don't
they
want
just want to
to.
watch.
That a clear no. But yeah, they like to watch how Recast Gaming is taking these objectives.
Understandable. It's a
and
very nice site.
yeah, they are setting it up good, and they always have the positional advantage over Arctic up until now.
Absolutely, and we just saw there. I mean, Saruda with these double cyclones, how much of a threat he really can be.
Yeah, but it was close. If Saya would have gotten a better play caller off there, Arctic might have re-engaged into that. But all the feathers missed 3 people very closely.
Did Arakdosa forget to finish his jungle item there? He's already building the gargoyles, but he has not finished the Cinderhulk.
I mean, maybe it's a strat. I don't know about it. I don't know the Tech item builds too well. But yeah, it seems a little bit weird.
Certainly a little odd here, but Caputimo is potentially being caught out here in top lane, but he has the Death Realm up and available here. Uses it onto Arakdosa here, who jumps in onto him with the Let's Bounce, dodges out nicely there from the Stifle of Destruction, and will not go down, but instead they will manage to take down Caputimo after quite a bit of a fight. But that's just gonna be a free dragon here going over to Recast Gaming.
Yeah, that's the dragon number 2, and they also spawned the Rift Herald at the dragon, which walked to the mid lane and helped securing that mid lane tower. So Arctic Gaming are trading 1 tower and 1 kill for 1 tower and 1 Drake once again.
So yet again, Recast, they still have an advantage, but this time they're only up about 1.5k gold at this point, so it is still manageable here for Arctic Gaming. It's not like 6k or something as we saw in game number 1, and here looking at the individual gold, Zaya has a bit of an advantage over her counterpart there in the bot lane, but look at this. Marok is just immensely ahead, and so is Saruda on that Wukong. Both of them being up more, like about 1,000, and in the case of Marok even 1,500 gold. They're over their counterparts.
Yeah, but with Crazy Koala being up ahead, it's one big point for Arctic Gaming where they can really try and peel for him. And I mean, if Giga is behind a little bit, it's not really something you have to worry about, because he is on the Cassiopeia and is scaling hard for the late game.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're still looking to take down that outer turret here in the mid lane at some point. I mean, so far they've only managed to take down the top lane turret, and while Rikas has already taken down 2 of the outers, especially that mid lane turret is always so crucial for these mid game setups, because it provides you with such a big advantage in terms of vision and priority, and with the elastic slingshot they can just threaten Simon enough here and scare him off that turret there with the rocket jump.
Yeah, but they pulled Giga into the mid lane for that, and now Merok is pushing
at
for
this.
the tower, and the Diana can push really fast. So that's
Oh my,
always scary.
they
Now
get
TP
an
mid
engage
lane.
here onto Ximon, but he gets the buster shot there to get away from the Rakan. There is the Cosmic Radiance coming
Yeah,
down.
and the Cyclone is coming in, but Ximon will go down, and Saruda is now also in danger, but now Caputimo and Merok are coming in from
But
behind.
Giga is there and he will deal a lot of damage here, but he uses the death ram there onto Blank. Nice blade caller there back on everyone, but he is super out of position. Crazy Koala that is, and now Chef is also caught out of position there. Arctosa is low. Saruda just goes and takes down the snake lady there. Chef is super low, falls to the hand of Merok, and on the backside Saruda just cleans that team fight up. They get the ace here for only 1 kill over.
No, two.
Yeah,
Ximon already
Ximon is
respawned.
already back. He fell down earlier, but they are straight up going for the dragon here. For the Baron
Yeah.
here.
And they probably will get it, and Arctic Gaming, they tunnel vision so hard on Ximon and had to use so many resources to get him that they had nothing left for the fight, and then they were in so deep that they had no way out. They tried to fight it, and they at least got Caputimo on top of that, but now Recast Gaming has once again gotten the Baron buff. Now look at that team fight
there
again.
we see, like elastic slingshot,
are
they use the horn, then the Cosmic Radiance come down where I choked on my tongue, and then just the Wukong ulti getting so much value there, knocking everybody up twice, and it was the clone, like he didn't even have to sacrifice his health bar there. Giga there comes in really slowly, does not commit right away onto Caputimo, and then he has no vision, is nowhere to be found. And look, the Cassio, he's just standing there.
Yeah, I don't know
And
what that fight really was. I mean, they used 3 ultimates for Ximon and still needed like 8 seconds to kill him. That was really not a good decision for them. They should have been happy for him backing away with low health, but they greeded for a kill and they get once again punished hard, and I feel like it's a little bit of a pattern. They lose a fight around the 20-minute mark, and then they lose the Baron and the control of the
and
game.
now they are down 5,000 gold here, while the next dragon is just spawning here, and there's just no way in the world Arctic Gaming can really be contesting that one. As this time at least they are deciding to push in the mid wave here, while the dragon goes down to the hands of Recast here.
Yeah, and now Recast Gaming are on Soul Point, and they seem to be looking for Arctic Gaming again. They seem to be a little bit out of position, but it seems like we have a little bit of a pause going down. Somebody must have a connection issue or some other technical issues. But yeah, Arctic Gaming, I don't know what they were doing around that Baron area.
I'm not sure either. I mean, it looked a lot better in the early game, but they still really lacked this decisiveness, and when they wanted to go for something, they just throw like everything at the kitchen sink at Ximon and don't really get rewarded for it. Well, they get the kill, but then in the end they like overcommit. Giga is not in position at all to do any damage, and just falls his flesh in the process, and then everybody's just scattered all around the place while Recast Gaming can just essentially do cleaning duty and mop everyone up. But now they can potentially look for a catch onto Chaos here on the Turk. But look, there's the Cyclone coming in. There's the Petrifying Gaze. Oh, look at the explosive charge just blowing up the backline there of Arctic Gaming. they're losing so much, but a nice play caller there has a bit of a response at least. But they are already down their mid laner, and can they really fend off much of Recast's gaming push attempt here in the mid?
Yeah, Arctic Gaming's objective for now should just be to contain that Baron and to try and defend the inhibitor turrets. You shouldn't try to fight right now.
Absolutely not. Just like stem the bleeding, try to farm up. You might have to give up your outer turrets, sure, but you have to really make these sacrifices if you want to find any alleyway back into this game. And I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The Xayah is still up 40 farm over Ximon here, and has her second item already completed, which is the Infinity Edge here. So he is strong, and Xayah certainly does scale really well into that late game, especially with the Ornn upgrades now also coming in.
Yeah, and Ornn already has an upgrade ready, so he can make that Infinity Edge into a Molten Edge, which should give Crazy Koala a little bit of an advantage. And I mean, Arctic Gaming still is scaling very well, so I think they still have a good chance into that game, but they have to really think about their engagements and not just tunnel on the AD carry because he's an AD carry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's like one of the classical League of Legends mistakes. I feel everyone is still remembering the days where like the AD carries were like the core, piece of any of any team composition, and you just have to take down the ADC and you'd win. But that's quite different these days. I mean, you still have a Wukong that's dishing out a ton of damage here, coming in with the Warrior Enchant that the Black Cleaver completed, and is working on his Death Dance by the looks of it right now. And then also, of course, the Diana, who's just super fed at this point, being 3-0-3 here with 3 complete items already.
Yeah. The Diana is gonna be super scary, and but I think if Giga is in a good position in in a fight, he can really deal a lot of damage. He is now looking for his Leandris mask, but I mean, he is also strong already on 2 items. Sure, Merok is stronger on his 3 items, but Giga should be able to kite pretty well if he gets a good Petrifying Gaze and a good Miasma.
I just realized something. Blank actually does have the grasp of the Undying against the Mordekaiser. I would love to see how many stacks he got off of that, because there has not really been too much of a fight between them, and I'm just thinking these potential switch overs with a non-seal spellbook to like a smite to secure those objectives. Oh, we might have a fight here on top. Death Ram going down onto Blank here. Saruda gets pulled back in here from Zack's arms here. Caputimo is making his way to the wall here. Can flash up, but the elastic slingshot just across the map here, managing to take him down. But meanwhile, Merok does not care here. He just takes down the bottom lane inhibitor turret here, and he's just like, okay, yeah, feel free to fight here. I am super strong, and I will take down this tower, whether you like it or not. But Aradosa now face checking here into Saruda. He gets another Q there. Shefe manages to connect with the quickness here. Saruda goes back in with the Cyclone and the Taric ultimate on top of him, and they have to back up here. Crazy Koala falls to the hand of Saruda here. Shefe has to run for the hills, but he will also go down. That's a double kill to the monkey here, and we see why he is banned so much. Triple kill coming over to him here. Aradosa just tries to get anything back, and a double kill here. Chaos denies the potential penta here for Saruda, and that's just an ace here for nothing. No, I mean,
a clean ace.
He has already respawned here from going down earlier, and I think that's just gonna be game number 2 here over to Recast Gaming. What a clean show here from them.
Yeah, Arctic Gaming chose to fight so many fights where they were not in good positions. They had so many positional misplays, and yeah, Recast punished them hard for it. Saruda really showed off on that Wukong. Also, Merok had a great showing in both
Yeah,
games,
absolutely.
and also Chaos always on point with this Cosmic
Yeah,
Radiance.
absolutely. Especially like the combination of the Cosmic Radiance with Wukong Cyclone there on top. That was just like, what are you gonna do? There's this monkey spinning his okay his pole in your face, and you just have to run, and you cannot fight him. You can't take him down. He's just immune. So not really much they could
Yeah.
really do there, and like props to Saruda for coming up big on that jungle pick there. But yeah, as you said before, like Merok also being super strong, and I think even in that last fight they did not upgrade Crazy Koala's Infinity Edge yet. So also a bit of a, I think that just shows that bit of a lack of focus that probably was present in those two games here from Arctic. I know they just had a bad day, or they weren't really. I felt like they could have done a lot better than they showed today.
Yeah, I felt like Arctic weren't really showing their best. I don't know what was the problem. I have seen them already many times, and I know that they can bring out very aggressive comps also in the early game. This time around they were going for the late game, and both times it didn't work out at all.
They also
I
didn't
don't
like
know.
play for late game. They just played for like, okay, yeah, we see someone, we want to kill him, but they gave up so many things all across the maps, and you saw it like time and time again. They didn't have the waves set up properly, and then they invested like 3 people to get a catch onto a Mordekaiser or something, which took forever, and then recast off of that just took a dragon and 2 towers, which is like completely not worth it. You get a kill, yeah, great, but you're on the completely wrong end of the map, as you probably want to be playing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with Arctic, but well played from Recast Gaming. They are now qualified, and we can look at the bracket. They qualified for the semi-finals against Lausanne, which won yesterday against Scythe of Seraphs. So now I never have to say that name again.
I might have to correct myself. They did in fact upgrade the Molten Edge there, but it did not matter in the end. But yeah, as you said, we are having a small break tomorrow night, but then we are going to be back on Thursday with the match between Lausanne Esports and Recast Gaming, and then on Friday, Silent Gaming will be facing the Mayan Sanity Madhouse. And I think both of these games are going to be super exciting and interesting to see what comes out of these two teams.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a disadvantage for Recast Gaming and Lausanne, which already played this week and have now to play again the day after tomorrow, because they are in the lower half of the bracket, and My Insanity and Silent had a little bit more time to prepare themselves because they are in the upper half of that bracket. So that's gonna be, especially for Recast Gaming, very hard to now prepare for Lausanne in just 2 days.
Especially since we haven't really like seen too much coming out of them, because their game wasn't like too spectacular.
Yeah, and I mean, surely the Tariq Tristana is something that Recast now have already shown that Lausanne will surely have seen and taking to consideration for the next game they have to play against them.
Like, let's not kid ourselves. It will be a tough nut to crack here for Recast Gaming if they want to make their way into the finals, because that kind of indecisiveness that we saw here from Arctic, that probably will not happen from the side of Lausanne, just by what we've seen. I mean, yeah, they took it kind of easy or chill mode yesterday, but nevertheless they had the map control that more or less all the time. They really controlled the objectives well. They if they went for fights, they did it decisively and as a team. So they really had good map calls there in general. So it's not gonna be it's not gonna go as unpunished here on the side of Recast Gaming.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm super excited to see what they can bring to us in the semi-final, and yeah, Lausanne Recast will be very interesting on Thursday. And then I don't know which semi-finals are you more happy about, or are you both equally excited for both semi-finals?
I gotta say I'm super excited for both. I think like the one between My Insanity and Silent Gaming has kind of a more potential to be like a really intense series between those two organizations. And also, I mean, they have a long time history and rivalry together, also like between the players to a certain degree. So it will be very interesting to see there how Silent Gaming will adapt to the threat that is Golden God and his team behind him, essentially.
Yeah, I'm super excited about Recast Gaming versus Lausanne because I feel like both teams can show us even more than they have already shown us today and yesterday. So I'm super excited to see what they still have to show us.
I completely agree. Yeah, so make sure you tune back in on Thursday and Friday, and then again on the 2nd of May, where we'll be having our grand finale of the season 3 here, coming up from the Swisscom Hero League, powered by ESL. It's not only gonna be League of Legends then, but also Clash Royale as well as CS:GO. And with that, this actually already concludes tonight as well as our quarterfinals here. My name's been Don Rigoni, and next to me, my beloved co-caster here, Chef. Any last words from your side until we head into semi-finals on Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, we saw some really great quarterfinals, but also many a little bit one-sided series. So I hope that the semifinals gonna be close, gonna be bloody fights, and I hope we can see the best League of Legends the Swiss scene can bring to us.
I mean, amen. There's just nothing really I can add to that. And with that, I wish you all a very pleasant evening. Have a nice rest of the week. See you back on Thursday. Stay happy, stay healthy, and good night.
Bye, guys.
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.
Wir arbeiten schon viel. Und das darf auch sein. Es gehört halt auch dazu. Aber die Technik schafft heute auch viel. Immer mehr sogar. Die Luftfeuchtigkeit passt. Die Stauatmosphäre stimmt. Und wenn die Technik immer mehr schafft, könnten wir ja zwischendurch ein Kehr weniger krampfen. Oder etwa nicht?
Start your esports career now at play.eslgaming.com.